So I continually go back and forth on Steve. Like I've definitely seen a lot of like pro Steve arguments. My husband is very pro Steve, and then on the other end, like online, I definitely see people like lambasting him. And I'm really just down the middle. On the pro Steve side, as a task-oriented, goal-oriented girly, sometimes the partner that you need in your life is someone who will tell you to stop and look at the moon. And that is a good thing. Like I can't fault Steve for this. Like this is a good interaction from Steve. I hate that this ends with Miranda being an hour late to work and her not noticing, but that's not on Steve, that's on Miranda. Like I get it, the D is good, but like prioritize your time, honey. And I finished the show a couple weeks ago, but I also felt like Steve did a relatively decent job of navigating his relationship with Miranda and by extension his relationship with Carrie and his friendship with Aiden. I felt like he kept those two things separate. Like he didn't try to meddle in Carrie and Aiden's relationship. He was just like, "Oh, girl, please don't tell me you want this man back. Like I'm not gonna say nothing, but like please don't do this." Like even if Steve does have his faults, like he's definitely a bro, at least to Aiden. And I hate Aiden, but fine, okay, cool. On the other hand, though, there are some things that Steve does throughout the show that would be inexcusable from any other man on the show. Like, there are things that Steve got away with just by being Steve that I don't think we would have given that same leeway to, say, Aiden or Trey. Like, when he felt emasculated because Miranda was out here winning, he didn't necessarily feel like at first he needed to, like, step up to her level. He more wanted to bring her down, and that felt shitty. Like Miranda is like outwardly saying like the shit that she needs, and she's like, "Hey, like I need to go to sleep. I need to not be up at 3 o'clock in the morning waiting for you to come home, and then I get like no sleep. I'm a lawyer. Like I need to get to work on time." And he's just like, "Sometimes you're like really the guy in the relationship," and he knows, he must know how that would eat at her. And that's something like it's one of those things where it's you can't unring that bell. Like what as soon as you say that, that's in the air. Also, I feel like the narrative kind of bent to get Miranda back together with Steve because it looked like they were working things out, like being co-parents and being friends. And then Miranda started dating Blair Underwood, and then Steve had his own girlfriend, and then suddenly Miranda's in love with Steve. And I'm just like, girl, like you were doing fine. Like what happened? Unlike Charlotte and Harry, perfect Ace's relationship, and Samantha and Smith, also Ace's relationship, they seemed like they walked into those connections and those relationships with open eyes and open hearts. This felt like inertia, and that's not romantic, you know? That's not necessarily a Steve problem. I feel like I haven't seen the reboot yet. Like we made it like 10 minutes in and like we had to tap out. It was awful. But to my understanding, these two get divorced. I'm not quite sure how or why, but I know that they do get divorced. And I also know that at some point, like, he really calls her out and he really, like, lambasts her for, like, her lack of commitment or, like, her lack of enthusiasm for this relationship, you know? And while some of it is, like, absolutely unwarranted, like, Steve, like, there's definitely some effort that you weren't making in order for like you guys to be like a together couple, and then like you guys still need a nanny and he's not like really helping from what we can see like with Brady, like their son. But then on the other hand, like I can't fault him for feeling like he was settled for, because it kind of seems like he was settled for. Like Miranda's self-esteem throughout the show was in the garbage. So there were things that she allowed Steve to do and tolerated from Steve. That thing where they broke up and he was taking calls from dates at her house. Like, fuck you, Steve. Needless to say, I am sitting the fence on Steve. Like, there are definitely men in Sex and the City where I'm just like, okay, these are Ace's men. Harry, Smith, people like that. And then there are guys where I'm just like, gulag, guillotine, and that's everybody else. But Steve is like right in the middle for me. That being said, though, I do think one thing that is unfair is that I do see people online clowning him for his accent, and I'm just like, there's nothing wrong with like a thick New York accent, you know? Like, come on, leave the man alone. He's from Queens.